The time is at hand.
Hey, this is In Dark Places. Hope you're doing okay today. I've got some ghost stories for you. I don't remember much from this time, but from ages 5 to 10 I lived in a smallish house with my mom, dad, and 2 brothers. My brothers shared bunk beds in their room, and I had my own room right next to theirs. This happened a few months ago, maybe 2 or 3, I don't know. Me and my sister were home alone at the moment. It was getting pretty dark outside. We were just minding our own business. We stayed in our rooms, not bothering each other. We live in a medium-sized house with 2 floors. Our bedrooms were on the 2nd floor, so there was no need to have the lights on downstairs or in the hall separating our rooms. My sister's room is right on top of the stairs, and mine is further down the hall. To get to my room from hers, you'd have to go past the staircase. So I was playing Overwatch with a friend I've met online. I forgot what it was, but I quickly needed my sister in my room. I think it might have been just a glitch in the game, and I thought it was funny. So we're walking back from her room, and as we pass the staircase, I suddenly see a figure emerge from the dark, and it was running up the stairs. I closed my eyes and got a mini heart attack. The weird thing is that it looked a lot like me when it started running, but its appearance slowly merged to look like my mom. Another weird thing is that the second it started running, it felt as if time had stopped. I suddenly got a flashback to the time when I saw a white outline of a person walk by me at my grandparents' house. Since then, every time I walk up the stairs, I look behind me. A few weeks or days later, I'm up at 3 a.m., the witching hour, and I hear breathing coming from where my drawer is. It was so clear as well. And just a few weeks ago, I heard scratching under my bed, like full-on scratching. Believe it or not, the image is still vivid in my head, and it wasn't like a transparent thing that someone looked so real. The whole thing just felt so real. The house I used to live in was built in the late 1800s, from what I could tell, but I think it is older than that. Anyway, there are a couple of ghost stories that I don't remember, but my mom told me about. The first one was when I was a young child, around 2 or 3. My mom was down the hall, and I was alone in her bedroom on her bed. She said she heard me start laughing like I was playing with someone, so she started walking down the hall to check on me. As she was on her way, she told me she saw a small child, probably around 4 or 5, that just ran out of her bedroom and into mine. I don't know the path it took because the house layout was weird. Second story comes from when I was still a wee little boy. My grandma and I used to ride the farm's golf cart to the woods behind my house. Apparently she saw the ghost of my great-great-grandma in there. I think it was her, I don't know. She was a relative that died before I was born and lived in the same house as we did. I would talk to my grandma about the gray lady in the woods. She proceeded to never take me there again. I was slightly older the next time there was a ghost. I always used to talk to my mom about the guy who was grabbing me. Apparently the house we lived in was once a Civil War hospital, so there were probably a ton of resentful spirits there. The one I was attacked by was also said to be a Civil War ghost. I can't remember if she said I told them about a uniform or if we brought in a medium, but that's what I was told. The last one came from my brother, so no clue if it's true or not. We had a psychic come over and do some psychic stuff, and we're throwing a small party at the same time. My brother was upstairs alone. He came running downstairs and said he saw a dark man walk into the bathroom, which was past our bedroom, but nobody was in there. When I was around 11, I was sleeping on my couch facing my fireplace, and I felt something run across my face, like a hand or something, and then a whisper saying, "Oh, Riley, don't you know your place? I've been missing you." My name isn't Riley. And then she stood in front of the fireplace and crossed her ankles, then shook her head. I remember I had one of my brother's baseball bats because I was always afraid of an intruder. I couldn't move because I thought that if I did, then she would go into my sister's room. Or, I don't know. She had a long crooked nose and was wearing long frilled socks with short heels and a pair of ripped dress pants and a frilly shirt with a missing sleeve, and her hair was coiled into a bun, but I was surprised on how neat it was. I've never slept in my living room since then. This is the one and only time I have ever experienced this. It happened about 10 years ago when I was visiting home from university during winter break. I was sleeping in my sister's room, and we had the window open a crack. She takes sleeping medication to help her sleep, so she was knocked out cold. I was completely sober and about to fall asleep when I heard the bedroom door open. Sometimes the wind does this. Change in air pressure will pop the door open. I didn't think much of it until it clicked shut. That hadn't happened before. So I quickly opened my eyes wide and started scanning the doorway. I saw a figure, but it was very faint. It looked as though moonlight was shimmering off the features of a person. I was frozen. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. But then the figure got closer and I recognized her face. It was my mom. She was trying to say something to me, but I couldn't hear her. I'm also terrible at reading lips, so I couldn't understand what she was trying to tell me. I was talking out loud. That's how real this person was to me. I tried to wake up my sister to see if she could see what I was seeing, but she was in a deep sleep. My mom was gesturing for me to follow her, so I got out of bed and walked over to the next room, my room. She was standing in front of the door of my closet, staring into it. I stood beside her to find out what she was looking at. The closet had my high school graduation gown and my prom dress inside. I figured she was trying to tell me that she was still there for those experiences in my life. While not physically, she was still there in spirit, literally. I said, "You saw me graduate?" And she shook her head yes. I felt so exhausted after all that. I had to go back to bed. I didn't see her leave, but when I woke up, she was gone, and I never saw her again after that. No one else in my family has either. A couple years ago, whenever the whole family tree went to visit my grandparents' house, me and my cousins always heard an unfamiliar voice call out my grandpa's name all night, from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. When we were trying to find out if it's someone's talking in their sleep, or look outside, we find nothing. Not too creepy, but we didn't really care as long as we saw nothing. And that's the end of the road for today's ghost stories. I'll be back in a couple days with some more. Thanks for listening. God bless.